It's been 1 year since the disastrous U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. U.S. foreign policy experts have described the event as a stain on America's foreign policy. Here to reflect on this further is Afghanistan military interpreter Jamil Hassan with the new book, Promises Betrayed. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me on the show.
You are a first-time author, having released the book Promises Betrayed, detailing the fall of Afghanistan. Tell us more about what people can expect when they read your work.
This book is in many ways different from other books that have been written in the past 20 years about Afghanistan. First, because this book has been written by an Afghan interpreter. Secondly, this book details all the mistakes of the international community, either in the military aspect or in the civilian aspect that they have committed in Afghanistan. Thirdly, it puts the blame on the people responsible for the chaotic evacuation last year and the aftermath of that evacuation that still is continuing today, including other critical questions that this book will answer are who is really to be blamed, Biden, President Trump, or even Obama, because the collapse of Afghanistan did not happen on the 15th of August last year. It completed last year. It started way before than that. And how was the evacuation process handled? Has it changed? Has it improved? These are and also, where are those hundreds of thousands of Afghans who served along American government or American forces in Afghanistan? What is their situation? Are they in Afghanistan or in other countries? And last but not least, what has to be done now that we are handling with the problem of this the refugee crisis? We have lots of Afghans across different countries in the world, and they need to be relocated to safe locations. So these and some other are the critical questions that are answered in the book, including a comparison about the war in Afghanistan and the war in Ukraine, because lots of people, when the war in Ukraine began, started blaming Afghan people for not being courageous enough to stay and defend their country.
And I want to get to that in a minute, because you said that the purpose, one of the purposes of this book is to ensure that people don't forget about what happened in Afghanistan. With that said, you say you met many people who encouraged you to write an article about your story, but was simply too broad to fit into a short narrative, and it would have had to be a full-fledged book, which you have since done. With that said, you worked with many military leaders, including General John Nicholson and General David Petraeus, the latter of whom recommending Promises Betrayed and even writing the foreword. Why do you think this struck a chord with him?
Well, I once met General David Petraeus back in 2009, and I worked for over 2 years with General Nicholson in Afghanistan when he was the commander of all foreign forces in Afghanistan. So all the issues that I have included in this book are so critical that even the former director of the CIA, General David Petraeus, has endorsed it. So it means that these are the critical issues that need the world's attention, especially right now, if we do not pay attention to the situation in Afghanistan and to the problem of hundreds of thousands of Afghan refugees across the world. It will be too late, and we cannot wait for another 9/11 or similar attack in any other country in the world, so that the international community start acting again about Afghanistan. Now is the time, though it's late, but it's not too late. So I encourage all Americans and actually people across the world to read this book and to ask their government and to take them accountable for the promises they made to the Afghan people and to Afghanistan, and in particular to the Afghan defense and security forces.
And you served with the coalition forces from 2008 until 2012, and then served as a high-level trilingual interpreter at the headquarters of NATO's Resolute Support Mission, Afghanistan Until a month before the events of August 15th, 2021, you have a first-hand account of escaping from Kabul, but some of your family remains in Afghanistan and is still in great danger. What has that been like?
It hasn't been easy at all. It is still difficult for me. When I was talking with the publisher about the book, he was hesitant, thinking that I might not go ahead with publishing the book because I have my family members still left in Afghanistan. But I told the publisher that this is not my story. This is the story of the hundreds of thousands of Afghans who were forced to leave their country and who are still in danger in Afghanistan or in other countries hiding from the Taliban. So for me, what is important is this book, the story. It needs to be out there. It needs to be read, and it needs to inform Americans and people around the world to know what really happened in Afghanistan. So though my family in Afghanistan is still in danger, they searched my house in Afghanistan twice. They threatened my family for me and my two other brothers who also work with American government in Afghanistan to return to Afghanistan. And it's not only me. The same happened to thousands of other Afghan interpreters and the members of the Afghan Defense and Security Forces and so many other Afghans who work in the civilian sector of the Afghan government or with national and international organizations back in Afghanistan. So for me, though my family is in danger, but this book and the story has a priority because it draws world's attention back towards Afghanistan and the plight of my people. So for me, the big picture is important, that the Afghan people are important, though my family is important, but that comes second.
And proceeds from purchases of your book will be directed toward helping continued evacuation efforts, which leads to my next question, because during those evacuation efforts in Afghanistan, many compared it to the fall of Saigon during the Vietnam War. What can the U.S. and its leaders learn from this latest experience?
Well, I didn't see the evacuation from the Vietnam, but I went through all the problems, the challenges, the difficulties, the harsh conditions of the last year's evacuation. What the U.S. and other countries should learn from this, that they need to be more prepared for this. They need to act in the right time. It was not a timely decision to withdraw all military forces from Afghanistan, first of all. Secondly, the evacuation process was handled in a way that no one can ever imagine. For instance, the shortage of buses in Qatar, in Al Udeid Air Base, the shortage of buses, left us stay on the tarmac, sit on the tarmac for 7 straight hours under 50 degrees Celsius, leading up to one Afghan evacuee passing out every 30 minutes. So these are the little things that could have helped improve the evacuation process. Still, the evacuation process hasn't seen any sign of improvement. We have thousands of Afghans in Pakistan. We have thousands of Afghans in UAE. We have thousands of Afghans in Qatar. Even we have Afghans that were evacuated to Ukraine and they are still there. So the current administration is responsible to take quick actions and improve the evacuation process. And what is next, like the immigration process is full of challenges. We have Afghans who are forced to leave Afghanistan on their own and leave behind family members. I just read a report about an Afghan woman who served in the Afghan forces. She was evacuated on her own, and her 3 children and husband are still in Afghanistan hiding from the Taliban. So the current U.S. administration needs to improve the immigration process, ease some steps so that those who have been separated from their families, those who have been left behind, can easily and quickly be relocated to the U.S., Canada, Europe, and other countries.
Again, Jamil Hassan, thank you so much again, the author of Promises Betrayed. It's out now. I've already started reading it. It's such a compelling story, and thank you so much again for sharing that. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.